84% of young people either want to set up a business that's purpose-driven themselves or work in a company that's purpose-driven. Young people want change. They want to tackle things like climate change. They want to tackle mental health. They want to tackle homelessness. And they are the future.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the HSE Talking Health and Wellbeing podcast. My name is Fergal Fox, and today we're speaking with Young Social Innovators CEO Roger Warnock. Young Social Innovators, or YSI, are one of our funded partners who do great work with young people across Ireland, so we'll be talking all about that. To all our listeners, thank you as always for your continued support, and please share this episode with anyone you think would get something out of it. If you want more information about HSE Health and Wellbeing, have a look at our website on hse.ie/health and wellbeing. Follow us on X, take a look at our YouTube channel, or if you want to find out some of our messages, register for our e-zine by emailing healthandwellbeing.communications@hse.ie. So as I said there, we're talking to Young Social Innovators CEO Roger Warnock today. Roger, you're very welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So I think some of our listeners will have some idea about Young Social Innovators. You've been on the go for a while. Why don't you tell us about it from people that may not know anything about it?
Yeah, sure. So Young Social Innovators was started in 2001 by Sister Stanislaw and Rachel Collier. And since then, we've worked with over 175,000 young people across the island of Ireland.
Wow.
We are Ireland's largest youth-led social innovation charity. And that's what we're all about. It's about empowering young people to change the world for good and become the next wave of sort of change makers.
That sounds very grandiose. How does that look at a local level? What opportunity are you giving the young person?
Mostly through the schools. So our big program, Activate, which was formerly called the Senior Program, attracts over 5,000 to 6,000 young people across the country every year. And they come together to co-create teams, come up with an issue that really impacts on them and come up with a solution. So it's normally a societal issue or an environmental issue, and they work across the academic year through speak out tours. And then if they're shortlisted, they could end up at the awards, usually, which is held in May.
So the Speak Out tour is when you kind of regionally give people an opportunity to get up on stage and pitch, I guess, or showcase their project.
Yeah, the big thing for us is that young people's voices are so important. So the Speak Out tour is probably the most important part of the Activate program, because that's where thousands of these young people come along to venues right across the country. It could be Cork, it could be Kilkenny, it could be Dublin. And they get up on stage and they pitch their ideas or present their ideas. So that's their opportunity to say, this is the issue that impacts us and this is our solution.
So I've been at some of those Speak Out events in the past, and I found them
chaos.
Well, they can be chaotic in a way, but like there's such a diversity of things been focused on, you know, from fast fashion to vaping, sexual health. Like there's such a diversity of concerns. And inevitably then what you seem to be looking at is a mixture of students from a school or from a community, and they've just kind of put their heads together and they've done a bit of research and they've looked at some actions and they've tried to create social change, but they've definitely opened their own eyes to things a bit more.
You know, it just proves the diversity we have in this country and the passion that young people have for change. You know, there was recent stats recently at the World Economic Forum where 84% of young people either want to set up a business that's purpose-driven themselves or work in a company that's purpose-driven. So you're pushing against an open door there. Young people want change. They want to tackle things like climate change. They want to tackle mental health. They want to tackle homelessness. And they are the future. You know, older people like myself have left this legacy of failure and destruction behind. So we're going to have to rely on those young people to solve this.
Yeah, it's great that you're giving them a channel of kind of engagement. So tell me about that youth engagement then, the Active 8.
Yeah, that's the main program, yeah.
That's the main program. So that's primarily through post-primary schools?
Yes, primarily through TY.
Okay.
However, we do have other programs there. So we have everything from workshops that look solely at leadership, look at SDGs. And we have an emerging program called Ignite Community, which is where we're hoping to work with wider communities of young people. So Activate is traditionally a schools program, whereas part of our new strategy is Leave No One Behind, that we want to be accessible to all young people. So Ignite Community will be that program that will do that. And we're doing some exciting work in that area at the moment.
So tell us about that. You feel that you need to focus on marginalised or disadvantaged or people that may not be involved in the other programs, or are you doing a focus piece on with priority groups?
You know, we want to be accessible to all young people. A lot of young people can't access our programs because they're maybe falling outside the education system or whatever like that. So we want to open that up. We also have our youth space, which is our online portal where they can access all the resources as well. So Ignite Community is a sort of a slightly shorter, more agile program where young people again learn about social innovation, but also at the end of that, there's a community showcase where they can actually present back to their communities what their ideas are as well. So again, it's going full circle to that piece around voice again and the importance of that for young people. We're very, very lucky in that we've just successfully secured Peace Plus funding on a cross-border basis. So that's going to kick off this summer. So working with 4 other partners across the top 12 counties, border region and Northern Ireland. And also through some other funding from the Bank of Ireland, we're working at the minute with a young bunch from the travelling community in Galway and young homeless people in Cork. And that's proving very successful as well with the same programme. You know, that piece around purpose and passion. So all young people are there, so we need to help them.
Yeah, I can't think of any group of young people that wouldn't want to take that opportunity, I guess, if it's just laid out in front of them like you're trying to do.
Yeah, it's amazing. That programme was piloted in the border region in County Sligo, Cavan and Leitrim. And actually the engagement and participation rates were off the radar compared to other programmes. Young people, when you offer that in youth clubs and various things, they basically proverbial bite your left arm off to get at it. So
yeah, it's so pro-social, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And then it kind of feeds itself.
Yeah.
I think when you give an opportunity to a young person to get up on stage or at some level present, it's a key moment for them because it's not an everyday opportunity. They're not likely to forget.
Not likely to forget, but look at all the other skills you're giving them as well. You're building confidence, you're giving them an avenue to get up on stage around public speaking. There's so many extra bits to it than just the actual innovation itself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's a great tool of kind of empowerment, confidence building, self-esteem. I think it's great. So you're doing youth work effectively and you're facilitating youth work all over the place and you're working with other people working in youth settings from informal education to formal education.
Yeah, we have a number of really good partners there who we work with, Gashga, we work with Donegal Youth Services, so as well as the schools, and a large number of schools as well. And we're always open to collaborate with anybody who is aligned to our values and wants to do the same thing as us.
So can you give me some examples? I know that we've been funding YSI for a couple of years, both from HSE Health and Wellbeing and one of our programs, Sexual Health and Crisis Pregnancy Program, also fund a piece.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about some of the recent, I know you had your awards recently. Can you tell us about that? And then we'll get to hear about the people that won awards under our...
Yeah, sure. So we had the awards actually just last week, Thursday at the Aviva Stadium. So we had over 300 young people from right across Ireland came to that, slightly smaller than previous years. But those were all the winners from across Ireland.
So they've done their speak out,
done the pitches, been shortlisted, and then eventually judged to be the finalists. So they came last week to get their awards. An amazing event. That's when you really see the passion and the vibe in the room of young people, and when they come together collectively, and you can just get that sort of feeling that these young people want change. But thankfully, HSE fund us on 2 strands there, and this year those 2 teams were incredible as well. So we had Game Change Her, which was a project from Kilorglin Community School, and they were looking specifically around the sexual health piece around women and the problems that women have and actually the lack of awareness of some of those issues. So they were raising awareness around that, and it was fantastic project, very strong. And then the other one was The Elephant in the Room, which was around mental health and how to open up, effectively using an elephant in the room to talk to as a way of building confidence to start talking about those issues you have.
Using the stigma to take away the stigma.
Yeah, effectively, yeah. So immediately you see the creativity and the innovation that these young people have.
Yeah. And you were telling me the other day that mental health is a consistent high theme for youth engagement.
Yeah, so if you look at our projects, within that sort of broad mental health bracket that we have where we tag them to the Sustainable Development Goals, it's always over 25% of our total projects each year will come under that bracket. And that just shows you how aware young people are. The recent stats there from NYCI was that 52% of young people will be impacted by mental health of some form by the age of 25. And that rises, I think, to 63% if you're a young person with a disability. It's out here, and some of the projects again this year where young people were actually creating projects around other young people in the room because they had health issues and stuff like that as well. So it just shows that collaborative nature of young people, and they want to help.
Yeah, I know I can repeat myself here, but giving young people a place to reflect on mental health, learn about mental health, and bring that up to a project and present it either to other young people at a local level. Everybody turning up to that national award feels like a winner already because they've done a successful pitch and they've done a successful event already.
And the journey doesn't end there because there's so much more support that we want to give them, because some of these people will go on to actually turn these into wider social innovations or social enterprises when they get older, So sometimes they do the YSI projects at school, they maybe drop out for a couple of years in college. get a couple of years of work under their belt, and then you'll find that they probably come back into that social enterprise space again. I think the average age of a social entrepreneur in Ireland is about 27, 28. So we're part of that journey.
Absolutely. You're giving them an achievement.
Yeah.
They feel like that's something that they're good at.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's you just look at the names of our projects: Activate, Ignite. That's what we're all about.
Yeah, sparking thoughts and
Yeah.
That's great. The support that you have to get from post-primary schools, is that significant, or are you just like, is there a big dependence on teachers? Or if there's teachers listening today, what would be your message to them?
Yeah, the teachers are vital to the success of YSI. We have a train-the-trainer model, so those teachers support those young people. So we do rely on them, and we are so appreciative because of the pressures that they have now within schools. And we know it's a big ask to ask a teacher to run a whole year's program like Activate. But time and time again, they come back because they see the value in the program. And that's what I say to any teacher who maybe, hopefully most know about it, but if they don't, that there's a massive opportunity here for the young people to empower them and support them.
Okay, so you roll out the trainer program, and how often would you do that? Just once a year? And you have teachers that have kind of been involved, they have a role in involvement. Is that right?
There's teachers being involved for years and years, and then there's new teachers each year come on. So we work with those new teachers, and then we do refreshers. It just depends on demand of what we need to do. But yeah, we do that on a regular basis. In fact, it's something that we're doing at the minute about revamping that whole interaction with teachers, or guides as we call them. So looking maybe at a platform like Mighty Networks where we can engage with them better.
Okay. And you mentioned there that sometimes young people will come back to the social innovation, and we have a good example of one of those recently that you highlighted, the awards. You want to tell us about that, and we'll play the bit of audio after it.
Yeah, so this was Monaghan College up in Monaghan. A few years ago, they created a project called RACE, which was around countering racism within the local community. They were a fantastic project at the time, a bunch of young ladies who now have gone on to do more stuff with that. So within a year or two, they actually raised €57,000 from the Department of Justice to push that project forward. And they're still actively involved in civic activism and stuff now. So what we do after Activate, we also then have the Den and Elevate, which are two programs. One, the Den is like the Dragon's Den, where they can pitch for money. Yes. And the race team, actually, I think we give them €500 to kick that off, where they developed a cookbook, which then they sold, and it was all around solving racism. But also then Elevate, which is more structured, is around mentoring. So we bring in people from the business sector, we bring in other mentors that will help with them and do workshops with them as well. So we gear all of that up, and it's something that we're very keen now to expand as well, because we see the importance of those future social entrepreneurs in Ireland.
Okay, we'll just have a listen to that example now that you give us from Monaghan.
In rural Ireland, racism and discrimination is not really something that's talked about, like tackling it. So we decided to start doing small projects.
I came up with the idea for the shoebox appeal, which we done for direct provision centres around Monaghan.
A lot of local businesses really supported us. We had boxes and boxes and boxes to send.
Our multicultural day, we had two. So we had one in our local primary school. We had loads of activities and children just loved it.
And then we kind of worked our way up to like a podcast. So we did the podcast over Zoom, and it actually did very well.
We said we continue on in fifth year through YSI Elevate. Coming up to the Den is when we met a panel of different people from YSIs to offer mentoring to help our project flourish. We received €500 from that. Our book was published through CJ Fallon.
The toolkit was decided to be done because our multicultural day was such a huge success,
and led us to receive €57,000 from the Department of Justice. And we also applied for a corporate social responsibility fund, and we received $2,500 from them.
Getting the high impact award is something I don't think any of us thought we'd get. Possibly shows all our hard work as well.
We've got very far from where we were, but we're extremely proud of it. And it was just hard work and passion and contacts that got us to where we are.
Okay, so that's a lovely clip. And you can hear that the young people kind of really leaned into the problem, the issue. And racism is real. Like, it's absolutely something that I think young people can feel it in their communities as something that we have to be, very much on our guard against. So it's great to hear that they progressed with your support.
The other one that's worth mentioning from the awards is that each year there's an international challenge called SAGE, which takes place somewhere around the world each year. And this year we've chosen a team, Rust, which was all around circular economy and waste, a really innovative way around that. So they will be representing YSI and Ireland in Tokyo at the end of August on that challenge, hopefully to win an award. In previous years, other YSI teams have won the gold award at that.
Really?
Yeah, we're hopeful that this team is strong enough that they'll be able to as well.
So this social innovation, young people, this is something that's going on in loads of different countries.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Social innovation is growing. You know, previous to me coming into YSI, I worked for the UNDP and on social innovation platforms right across the world, mostly in Asia. And the whole thing around the next generation of change makers is very strong, as well as the future of work. So it's all around young people, yeah.
Okay. Is there any other things that you saw that inspired you a bit in terms of the awards?
Yeah, well, the gold winners as well, you know, very, very simple idea where they just put suntan cream around the schools because of skin cancer, to raise awareness around skin cancer and stuff like that. So, you know, it's a very simple model, you know, get some suntan cream, slap it on, and prevents skin cancer. So again, you could say very novel, very innovative, but very simple.
Yeah.
And that's what social innovation is. It tends to be novelty and simplicity are the key things behind it.
Yeah, it has to be practical, I guess.
Yeah.
Very good. If a young person is listening to this and they're hearing about all these great ideas, how would they get involved? Do they have to be in TY, or is there other ways you can get involved in these things?
No, not at all. We cover from age 8 to 25. So what I would say to any young person who wants to be involved is to go and speak to their teachers and say, look, we want to be involved in a YSI program. Failing that, we have the youth space. They can come on there, and there's online learning resources and other materials there that they can use as well. But that's what we say to all young people. Go and speak to your teachers first and tell them how good it is, and get them to get involved.
Oh, great. So the door is open anyway, and there's loads of different ways. Okay, great. So you were talking about the school teachers. There's a strong message for parents here as well. My own son is just after completing TY. Like, it's great in some ways, but it can be frustrating in some ways as well, because it's so fluid and there's so many different things going on. But your program kind of offers something really tangible that you can get your teeth sunk into. Yeah,
well, ultimately it's around 21st century skills. You know, when you think of the future of work, the programs we deliver offer creative thinking, critical thinking, co-design, all of the skills that employers are now looking for as well. So this gives them a great opportunity to learn those skills, use those skills, but also then gives hopefully a bit of faith to parents that they're doing something good with their time as well, which they are, because when you see the solutions that come from these young people, you can see that they work really, really hard at it.
Yeah, but as well as creating the things, their social consciousness has really been switched on, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you got to remember that young people today are global citizens. They are so aware of stuff because of social media and stuff, not where I would have been in my teens. There was no such thing. So they're so much more attuned into the issues, and they actually want to do something about it. We're here to help them do that.
And you mentioned the sustainable development goals there.
Yeah, so every team that comes up with an idea, they themselves will decide which SDG they want to impact on. So 3, I think, is health. So for example, if it's mental health, they'll target that as the one they want to do. So, you know, it's critical that we're trying to move towards 2020, 30 to solve these. We're not, I don't think. But young people, again, are very aware of that. They want to play some small part in solving a lot of these massive global challenges, which every country has.
Yeah. And that fits into your new strategy. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, well, new strategy was signed off by our board there a couple of months ago, and a number of things in there. One is that we want to offer a globally recognized social innovation experience to all young people. So again, as I said earlier on, it's about all young people being able to access the resources and the knowledge that we have as an organization. It's also about ourselves building a very sustainable, future-proofed organization itself. But then finally, the other piece is around collaboration and actual openness. How do we get all of our learning out there that people, through research and various things as well? So another critical area that we need to tell people what's going on. What are these young people telling us that we can then use to maybe influence government departments or whatever to make changes at a higher level on behalf of the young people?
Okay, that sounds good. And health inequality inclusion, my sense is that's been boosted in this recent strategy. Oh
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a massive part. You know, as I said earlier on, we are led by the young people, and we know it's such a big area around health and well-being that's a big focus area for us, and we need to be putting more and more support in that so young people can come up with those solutions.
Okay. But I'd like to thank you for coming in, Roger, and sharing your insights. And what signpost do you want to give the listeners?
If they just come to our websites at ysi.ie, they can find everything there. Always happy to chat to anybody. So if they want to track me down, well, I'm happy to send me an email or through LinkedIn or whatever. Always happy to talk.
Great. Okay. Thanks again, Roger. And thanks to our listeners for tuning in to another episode of the HSE Talking Health and Wellbeing podcast.